Good morning, guys. Welcome in another live stream here. Happy Wednesday. Hope you're doing okay. Just wanted to drop in here with a quick update based on Monday's stream. We had some pretty good bangers that came out of there. If you guys remember, we spoke about net and the possibility that its big bullish run would be coming to a little bit of a corrective wave, which successfully happened. Now, unfortunately, I didn't catch this one, but it's not fully corrected yet. So we may have another opportunity at this. It just all kind of depends on what kind of liquidity we see coming in at this level here at $81. We will be prepared to pivot if it gets back up to 84, 85 for a potential short position. If it gets higher at 86 and then breaks above 87 or so, that will be neglecting the entire downtrend. And this will be considered a fake out. So we'll be planning accordingly and taking the trade live on Discord, as I have played this in pretty much big wave breakout to the upside all the way from here. We played this huge move, and so we're looking to play the down move now. Very, very strong, kind of trend here that's now coming to a halt. And so this is a pretty easy setup. Now, just looking at SPX and the macro, remember that today we have Chairman Powell speaking again in front of the House. It's probably going to be another snooze fest. Likely the market's just been chugging along very, very slightly here. Just nothing really volatile, just been smooth sailing, chugging along, not much going on. And so we still are on track for the SPX to kind of make a move either up to 5,700 or correct downward to retest this liquidity, which is trapped in this range, either at the 54.75 or at the 55.50 roughly. So you'll be looking at around this area, 55.30, 55.50, around this area, and then below it would be 54.60 and below for some liquidity. So we would be looking at essentially market coming back down here for a retest, and if it gets liquidity, it'll go back up, or coming back down here, getting this retest, and then coming back up. If it continues to come back down and then reject higher here, then that sends another wave down. So that's kind of where you are with this plan. Otherwise, the market's going to continue going higher like this, slowly up to the upside, as it's been doing for a very long time. And so you'll see this, and then you'll see consolidation, and then another wave up, and then like another consolidation, and another wave up, as the market usually does. So that's my expectation here. Upside, downside scenarios, essentially. And the same goes for the NASDAQ, as you can see, is the leading indices here, right? You can see NASDAQ also is poised to do a similar thing. It's been consolidating, so it may come back down to collect some liquidity in this area, then bounce higher, or it may just continue higher slowly, right? So similar setups, similar expectations. And as for inflation on Friday, Friday is when inflation data comes out. We'll be watching for inflation to get softer. That will make the case of a cut better, right? And just to be very clear on interest rate expectations are now priced in fully a September rate cut. Okay, our first rate cut should be in September. Now, what typically happens when a rate cut is on the line, when it's confirmed, when the Fed has said, okay, we're going to pivot? Well, typically, the first thing that happens is the market usually takes profit. Okay, they usually take profit. There will be a pullback, and then when the pullback is over and the inflation numbers are over for that month, then you may see another wave to the upside slowly thereafter. Now, remember that in the next couple of months, there are a lot of economic macro related things that are happening. So first of all, coinciding with this Friday on the 12th is a new earnings season. Okay, banks will start reporting. And then the peak of the earnings season is not the week after, but it's the week after that. So the week of 22 July is actually peak earnings season. As you can see here, I posted this on the Discord, that majority of companies are posting earnings on the week of 22 July. You'll see this, right? Almost 47% of market cap is reporting on this week. Next week is not that big, but there's still some pretty big names. There's Tesla, there's UNH, there's J&J, Netflix, Bank of America, blah, 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 GS, a bunch of like, you know, non-bank names, some credit card names. MS is reporting next week. So some finance and mix of consumer discretionary, healthcare, etc. The week after is the most with 47%. 176 companies will be reporting from the S&P 500. And then the week after will be the next biggest, which is the 16%, which will include most of your healthcare, industrial, some of the travel stocks, etc. So the main week you want to pay attention to avoid is July 22nd. In fact, July 22nd and July 29th is probably the weeks that you really want to avoid trading, okay? Because this is where things are going to get very choppy, market's going to be very fickle, and depending on how earnings come out, the market's going to pick a direction only after that. So project for the market to only get done picking a direction after August 5th, which is the week after, which is funny because my wedding is on August 5th. So it's going to pretty much be a really great time for me to be away from my desk, actually. Because I'll be real honest with you guys, from the 22nd to the 5th, I'm going to be pretty busy. So there will be very little chance that I'll be able to hop on live streams and etc. So I'm just keeping expectations clear here that I will be missing for these 2 weeks, because it's a big life event, a lot of families coming from all over the country, and I mentioned this before, it's going to be a busy time for me, right? So I will have to pay attention to family and whatnot, and the marriage, and, you know, all the things that accompany with it, and the big fat Indian wedding, which is, you know, pretty intense. And so I just wanted to keep you guys aware of what the calendar looks like, what to pay attention to, but mostly for July 22nd all the way to August 5th, this is a time when you want to avoid trading excessively, because there's a lot of decisions that will be made based on the predicated expectations and speculations of the market off earnings, okay? And that will change every single day. One day, companies will report positive earnings, market will rip. Next day, companies will report negative earnings, market will sell. And so you don't want to be caught in the crossfire of that volatility, even though, yes, it is a good environment for traders in general. but not for a swing trader, okay? Because if market's moving up and down, not choosing a direction, then what's going to happen? Your theta just eats into your contracts, okay? So this is a caution for you guys, just to explain to you guys next few weeks and how it's going to go. Now, inflation numbers, I firmly expect to be, you know, just a 50-50 coin flip. There's no point trying to guess what's about to happen. I don't like to guess what's going to happen. But just to share with you guys a little bit of this morning's data, and I'm sharing with you proprietary information from the Discord right now. You know, you have your OI changes. NVDA here with still very strong betting on out the money calls. 136 strikes, 150 strikes. So 136 strikes for 19th of July. They were mostly mid-side spread, but there were 23,000, almost 24,000 contracts added yesterday. The 150 strikes for August 16th saw 21,000 contracts. Some people took profits on those. You can see that it's mid-side, right? So there were some profit taking on that, but mostly open interest increased. So there might be also some selling of 150 calls. Okay, that's how you're going to read that. And then there were a lot of profit taken on the $90 calls for the July 19th expiry. So which means next week expiry, a lot of people took profits on that, on the $90 calls. You can see it's negative open interest. And the same goes for the 130 calls for this week expiry. A lot of people took profits on those. You can see once again negative, right? And then a lot of profits taken on 134s, etc. So you can see from here how we kind of siphon through the data each day. And this is proprietary because you don't get this information everywhere. And it's really just easy to have it all in one chart. Okay. Now, Tesla. You can see this is kind of mixed action here. Okay. I don't really specifically like this kind of action, but you can see a lot of action on out the money strikes still. There is a decent amount of action on the 275 calls, 260 calls for July 19th and August here. Decent amount of calls on the 280 calls, the sold calls on the 280s for next week expiry. So they're selling those calls. And then you also have some 260 puts that are being sold for this week expiry. So there might be a rally for the rally, which I think Tesla's like almost there already, right? What is it? Where is that at? Yeah, it's already 260 something, right? So you can see they're probably going to keep Tesla above that price for this week because they're selling contracts for this week expiry at 260 puts. So they'll likely be holding the line around that price. And then you have on top of that, Meta, 550 calls being sold for this week, 540 calls being bought for next week, 540 calls being bought for this week. So they're going to keep prices more than likely. So they took some profits on 540 calls for next week, but they bought some for this week. And then they took profits on the 540s for next week. So you have a bit of rolling action here. And then you have 545s, you have some 465 puts being bought as well, protection probably for some of these positions. And then a lot of profit taking on the 550, 530, 600 calls across the board for this week and next week expiry, as well as September expiry. So 600 calls also being taken profits on. So quite a fair bit of action on Meta as well. AMD across the board, let's have a look. Mid-side, mostly bets on 225, 190, and 200 for these expiries here. August, mostly mid-August and early August. What's AMD at? Let's have a look quickly. It's currently trading at 181, so that's pretty out the money bets. You can see that people are still betting pretty far, right, into August. So I expect AMD to continue rallying until it hits these strikes. And then you also have, you can see 155 puts being sold for some easy premium. You have 165 puts being sold. You have 190 calls being sold. But these will probably get rolled more than likely. And yeah, those are the more important ones, I feel. Okay, Amazon continued hitting on the 205 strikes for this week and next week expiry, lots of them. 200 strikes, also seeing a lot of profit taking for next week expiry. You can see that. And this week expiry, they continue to bid up 202.50. Now, for those of you that don't know what's going on with Amazon, Bezos has a agreement, or rather a deal with Amazon itself, the board of directors or whatever. Like essentially, he has a part of his contract is that he can sell shares at $200. Now you'll realize every time it's been hitting that $200, it's been kind of getting bid, right? So they've been selling this. Now it's not perfectly at 200 every time, but you can see there's almost like a natural ceiling that has developed here in this past week. Do you see it? Right? Every time it gets to this point, it's getting sold. Every time it gets to this point, getting sold. Every time it gets to this point, getting sold. Sold, right? And so we need all of that power, that selling to subside. Then only will Amazon rally. So we have no idea how long that will take, but when it does happen, that's when Amazon will actually get a chance to come up to the 205, which is the 38.2 extension. So that's what I'll be watching very closely on for Amazon. I am still bullish on Amazon because it is in price discovery, okay? So just putting that out there. Now, I won't go through these because this will be for our live session. But now, IWM, still coiling very, very tight. You can see within a pennant structure, right? And it's coiling very hard here. It could break either side, obviously, based on CPI, based on everything. How does IWM rally? It rallies when interest rate expectations are going to be firmed. How does our IWM sell off? It will sell off if interest rate expectations are delayed. Interest rate cutting expectations are delayed, okay? Just know this, because small mid caps are very, very sensitive to a high borrowing cost environment, okay? 10-year yield still falling here, nothing changed. We'll see if we find any support here for a short-term rally. The dollar index still squeezing within another pennant of its. Once again, could go either way. It breaks above here, it starts to move higher. Breaks below here, it starts to move lower, right? VIX still holding at 1280. Nothing has changed here. Nothing to really report back on. Now, XOP, this is your oil and gas in a falling wedge pattern. Do what you will with that information. I like the break below 141. With the retest goes bearish, a break above 148. With the retest goes bullish. I do also like the idea of taking a bullish trade here with a very tight risk off, which makes a really nice RR trade, okay? If you don't understand what I'm talking about, then this is what I'm talking about. If you take a entry position here and you set your risk off to be like a little bit further down, and even if you take it up to here, you'll hit a very easy 1:2 risk to reward ratio trade. The bullish trade here is favored over the bearish trade because the risk to reward ratio is favored. If it breaks out further, your RR starts to improve. If it gets up to here, that's a 1:3. If it gets up to here, it's a 1:3.5. If it gets up to here, it's almost a 1:4. So as you can see, this is a really nice trade setup. I like the bullish oil play in heading into this little area here. Now, on top of that, we have Prime Book report that has continued, giving us data that for the past 5 weeks, we've seen buying take place in the energy space. So as you guys know, these things don't happen all at once. It takes time for the market to kind of move into the gear. And so I'll be watching this very, very closely. That's one little tidbit I'll leave you guys. Okay, so Baba continues to consolidate at this level. Hasn't quite been able to break down below it, which is nice. Baidu was up 8% yesterday. That was a monster move. I'm not sure if any one of you caught it, but if you did, congratulations. Really nice move on that one. AMD, very nice move on this. We spoke about it in the live stream. We spoke about how strong this was. I did mention how this would have a very strong case for a continuation. And since then, it has been wow, right? It's been really wow. And more importantly, this has very out the money strikes still being bet on, okay? So AMD, very likely to continue up here. But I wouldn't want to play this unless it pulls back, okay? Another one, Johnson & Johnson, squeezing tight within a downward descending wedge pattern or a descending triangle pattern, whatever you want to call it. This has been pretty decent support. If it can find more demand here, it's likely to break up and try to hit the 154 level, which will be around here. And that would lead to a little win. This is a really nice risk reward ratio play. Once again, if you can't see it, then this is what I mean. If you enter long here, you take your risk off below, even below all the stop losses. And you go all the way up here, you can get a 1:3 ratio play, right? So this is another good risk reward ratio play that you can think of in the healthcare space. But remember that they report earnings soon, right? They report earnings on 17th July. So that's a week from now. Palantir continues to be bid up. Very nice movement on this one. On the pullback here would have been ideal entry. But this just looks really great. And of course, now that we're at a resistance here, you have to be more cautious. And just take it with caution. Airbnb still on its uptrend, hasn't invalidated the trend yet. So Hit our target twice though, so I'll take this away now. And we'll have to issue some new targets on this based on some new Fibonacci levels. So let's have a look at where that would be. And if we just go by the previous wave structure, which is all the way down here, and we pull it up to this wave here, not taking into account this fuckery that's going on, this wave to this wave. So you take this huge A to B wave, which will be a massive wave. Then you would have new numbers here, which means the 23.6 would be here, 38.2 here, and 61.8 golden going to be at 160. So we'll see if it invalidates this trend, then we'll start to take downward positioning. If it still validates this trend, starts to build a support over 154, I'll be happy to take this up and above into 155 and 160. Another one that I like is Moderna, long-term trend line touch. This has a mega trend since November of last year, has been a support line, and it's been consolidating near the support line. Now, I don't always, necessarily want to play this with so much of conviction, but once again, you realize all of these plays, what do they have in common? They have really good risk to reward ratio setups. You need to understand something. If you're going to be good at trading, you have to be able to find good risk to reward ratio setups. The name of the game is managing risk. The name of the game is not chasing risk, okay? And so if you are constantly finding yourself in positions where you're losing money, the probable reason for that is because you are taking stupid setups, which are like, chasing gaps. Or you see a breakout, and then you play this stupid move from here to here, despite knowing that there's a huge move that has already happened. You chase this small amount, which is not a good RR move, right? So understand how these plays are sourced, understand how to execute, understand how to get through the risk management part of it, and then your life becomes easier, okay? The rest of it is really boring, guys. It's just sitting around, doing nothing. Sometimes you don't need to be there the whole time, okay? Okay, now, rest of these setups, I'm going to keep for the Discord. There are a lot more setups here that I want to go through with the team, which I've posted on the trading floor. I post a lot of them throughout the day, most of the time. Yeah, let's see. Okay, anyone have any questions for me, comments, things that they want me to go through? That's my birthday. Congrats. Oh, nice. Is it August 5th, your birthday? Thanks, man. PDD for 140 move. Let's have a look. PDD. Oh, yes. This is another really nice one, actually. I do like this setup, honestly. It came down, tapped this liquidity down here. Looks like a potential one. I want to see a break above this 142 level, though, before I start taking anything here. Because it will have decent upside at 152. Even though this move here will be met with a small risk to reward, that means you would have to go risk off somewhere here. It would be a 1:2 still, which would be decent. I like that. I own October 80 calls for Baba. Yeah, that's cool. I alerted the group about Baba. We took a trade in it. I want to say last week. No. Wait, maybe. Let me see. Hold on. Last week. Yes, we took a trade last week on Baba. But it's a leap. It's a pretty long-term trade. Sorry, not a leap. It's a couple months out. I'm not gonna give the exact play, but it's a couple months out. And we went a bit further out money, actually. So if Baba makes an explosive move, then we see a nice little return on that one. Okie dokie. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. I like to keep these as short as possible, sweet as possible, just to help you guys get through pre-market. I know some of you might be anxious about these things, and you might not be always prepped. So this is really to help the person who is not prepped and, just kind of get your opinions out there. I hope that you truly have a great trading day. And yeah, there's lots of exciting things coming in the future. Now that I'm actually getting close to getting married and, there's not so much of planning on my head, I need to be very present and just getting into the mood of being wedded, right? I don't know. It's a whole thing, right? And more importantly, I think it's a time in my life where I'm just, kind of paying attention to all angles of my life and just, trying to make everything work. So it's been a bit challenging, but you know what? I'm making it work. I have business to attend to. I have trading to attend to. I have the wedding to attend to. There's family obligations to attend to. You guys know how these things go. But I'll see you guys back on the next live stream. Next week, I'll be holding the 2 final live streams of this month, and then I will be taking a break for 2 weeks. So I will see you guys on next week's live stream. I hope you have a good one, and take care, guys. Peace out.